It is an absolutely gorgeous day to be out in the park talking about books. So about 4 years ago, I decided that Hinge was actually not for dating and it was for finding a queer book club, and that's what I did. And now I'm many years later into the queer book club. It's so much fun. It's like a really fulfilling part of my life. And I want to talk about basically the first half of the year and what we've read so far. Because believe it or not, we are about halfway through 2026. Crazy. And also it's Pride Month, so like what a better, like literally no better time to talk queer literature. So a little bit about me. I used to be a bookseller, but specifically I was more a children's bookseller at a bookstore in New York City called Books Are Magic. I was there for about 2.5 years and I loved being surrounded by books, and that has not changed. So I really enjoy finding these books, finding some authors, and I want to share with you how I felt about some of them because they were not all hits. Let's start off. I will otherwise go in the order of the year as we read them, but I want to get this one out of the way. So this was our February book, I believe, and it's The Price of Salt by Patricia Highsmith. You might know it as Carol because it was adapted into a major movie, and I DNF'd this book. I DNF'd it so hard with no regrets. Truly, I could not get through it. It was just so dull and boring, and I was just so not engaged. And to be fair, I am someone who is a bit of a lit fic hater. Like, I am just very much not into literary fiction and a lot of adult fiction that's not like genre specific. It's just not my thing, you know what I mean? No hate, no shade. I honestly wish that I was more into it, and throughout the book picks of this year, especially the ones later in this year, I am dipping my toes into some lit fic. Even like one of my picks is a lit fic, and I'm very proud of that. I am very excited. I'm gonna pick it up from the bookstore after this because it came out today. I'm getting sidetracked, so I don't have anything to say about this. I do really respect the role that this book played in sort of queer literature as a whole and representing lesbian relationships. However, I don't think that I need to have personally enjoyed reading this to respect like its historical importance. And that's how I felt about this book. So we're gonna skip that one and get into the ones that I actually finished. I'm gonna open up my notebook because I took notes, baby. Okay, so the first one, I don't have the physical copy with me because I read it on my Kindle. And some of them I don't have the physical copy because I read it on the library, from the library. We love the library, and I've already had to return them. But The Membranes by Chi Ta-Wei is a translated work of fiction, and it's speculative fiction, sci-fi. It is, I think in my review of this afterwards, I just wrote, kind of a mindfuck, and it really was. Like, it's a sci-fi novella, so very short, quick read, and very reality bending, exploring themes of gender, of family, of like autonomy. Really makes you question like what is real, what is not real. So if you kind of like that aspect of speculative fiction, I think you'd like, this is one you will be thinking about for a while. So basically it is this alternative dystopian future where, due to environmental collapse, the human race now lives underwater. And our main character is, oh, hold on, the wind, my lens cap is gonna be making noise. I'm just gonna take it off real quick, hold on. Where did I leave off? Oh, right, okay. So our main character is named Momo and is an esthetician, so a facialist, for basically like a really elite, like for all the bougie people of the under the sea dystopian future. And she gives people like a second skin to like protect them from like the environmental stuff going on, and is like really esteemed, really highly sought after, but lives like a pretty reclusive life. And then her estranged mother reappears in, oh, sorry, the things about being outside, things just get in your face. And so her estranged mother like re-enters her life, and it kind of causes her to like rethink everything she's ever known. I recommend this book. I gave it 4 stars. Is good. The Membranes was January's book, February's Price of Salt, and now we're getting into March, which was, I do have this book, Son of the Morning by Akwaeke Emezi. And this book was a really fun time. I've read Emezi's other works, and I just really appreciate their, like, how, hold on, let me just check this author's pronouns real quick. I want to get it right. Okay, they, I was right. Emezi's writing is so interesting because I really like how they don't stray. So there's babies in the park. I really like how Emezi doesn't stray from allowing characters to be messy and make the messy choice. I really appreciate that, actually, because it makes for just characters that feel real, because in life humans do make the messy choice, and it also just, it pushes forward the plot, and like it just writes characters and characterizations and character arcs really well. And this book was no exception. Really loved that. It is basically I feel like I should start with describing the book. But this book is, I don't know if you can tell, a fantasy. I would categorize it as romantasy. So if you're not into that, this one might be a skip for you. This was also, I believe, Emezi's first fantasy novel. So that was very exciting. But it takes place in sort of a magical Black American South. And it doesn't mimic any like specific biblical stories like verbatim. It's not like necessarily a retelling, but it does involve angels and devils, and of course the Prince of Hell himself, Lucifer, and a bit of a love triangle. Also, this book might be for you if you're somebody like me who encounters a love triangle and then always is like, I mean, there's an obvious solution to this, and really roots for the love triangle to become a polycule. You'll like this. It was just fun. I was squealing, kicking my feet, like being like, ooh, because the drama. It was messy, it was hot, it was a good time. I rated this like between a 4.0 and a 4.5 stars, just because I really did enjoy it. It was so much fun. But I don't think there's anything particularly sticky in this book. Like, nothing that I think would, like, for example, in Membranes, that book is really gonna stick with me for a bit. It just, there is something about it. And this book, I would just say it was a good time, and I think that's all it really needed to be, but I very much enjoyed it. Also, okay, let me see if there's anything else I missed in my notes. Oh, forbidden love. That's the situation here. But I mean, you had to have guessed that, right? Because it's the Prince of Hell, it's Lucifer himself, like, okay. Also, I will say, when I picked up this book, I immediately flipped to the back cover and saw this guy and was like, oh, you're my favorite, and I'm gonna be really mad if you're the bad guy. And I have to say, even after finishing the book, still my favorite. Still my favorite. So, moving on. Okay, I don't have this copy. This was a book one. They're all books. This one was a library book. Also, if I'm itching a lot, it's because I am getting allergy shots and they're just a little bit itchy today. So this next book is called Open Throat by Henry Hoke, and it's another novella. We've been really on a novella kick, and is that because sometimes we have trouble getting everyone in our book club to actually finish the book? Maybe. But I have really been enjoying novellas. I think it's amazing to see what an author can accomplish in a very compact form factor. And this was one of those books. I think it had a very clear understanding of what it set out to do, and it accomplished that really well. And it's basically about a gay mountain lion living underneath the Hollywood sign in LA. And you are following the perspective of the mountain lion, and it's really explores interesting themes about like longing and loneliness, especially through the lens of queerness, and like the specific sort of isolation that comes before you really understand who you are and understand your queerness. And I think that was very beautifully written. I also think that it didn't need, like, I don't think it could have been any longer than it was. I think maybe it could have even been just a hair shorter, but it was so, like, snappy. It was snappy, it was interesting, pulled you in. I read the whole thing, no lie, 30 minutes. And I think it was a worthwhile 30 minutes. And there's something about a book that you can just kind of whip out in an afternoon and have a good time. It also touches a bit on like the environmental commentary and also a critique about like LA culture, which I'm in New York. I've never lived in LA. I've just visited friends who have lived there. So I can't quite speak to how accurate it is, but it felt accurate. It felt like a bit of a read, if I'm honest. So, okay, I can't remember. I said that I gave that one 4.0 stars. I gave it 4 stars. This book was May's book. It is Dactyl, and I wanted to DNF this book so badly at so many different points. Like, I really am surprised I finished it, but I'm glad I finished it, mainly because now I get to have a fully formed opinion about it and nobody can say nothing because I did finish the book. Like I said, full admission, I am not a literary fiction person. That's not my bag. It does not tickle my bean. And this it was too lit ficky for me. It almost actually it read like a memoir, and memoirs are also not my bag. Just in the way that, like, it didn't really have a plot. It didn't really have a strong, clear conflict driving the plot forward, because again, there wasn't really a plot, and it heavily relied on this main character of Terry, following them from the 80s club kid scene in New York City all the way through 2020 and talking about the COVID pandemic. And it attempted to weave the thread between HIV/AIDS and then COVID, which is a concept I'm so on board for. I do a lot of sort of work in the disability spaces and talking about just like making the world more accessible and airborne illness. And so I am very aware of how much sort of HIV and AIDS mirrors COVID, long COVID, and also thinking about how disease and public health does not happen equitably because it is impacted by all of the inequalities we have in regular life. So some people feel the effects way more and often are abandoned by others when going through a public health emergency. And often it's queer people, often it's people of color, often it's people experiencing economic instability. So I was on board, and it didn't deliver. It didn't deliver, and I also, because there was no strong plot, it really relied on you investing in this main character. Parts of her life and certain people that come into her life that I found compelling, and I was more invested in those sorts of those chapters, and then other moments where I was completely clocked out. Hi, doggy. You can say hello. Hi. Hi there.
Trying to stay out of your...
No, it's okay. Hi, puppy. This is the best part of being at the park, is getting to see cute dogs. Hello. Okay.
Are you a YouTuber?
What?
Are you a YouTuber?
Yeah.
Are you making a book review?
I am. So I run a queer book club, and so I'm just doing like the first half of the year roundup of books I've read and how I felt about them.
Nice.
But yeah, and I was like, it's too nice. I thought about filming in my apartment, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm going outside. Well, that was a fun little interlude of dog. I wish you could have seen this dog. It was very, very cute. It's a little Yorkie. I just love being in the park. Okay, anyways, let's get back to this book. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, okay, so like, it read like a memoir, so if you're not super invested in the character, it felt like there wasn't really a lot else to sustain you through reading of the book. It was not clicking for me. I really wanted for this to deliver really strongly on the themes that it was presenting itself as, and it was just a bit too long, a bit winding. But I will say, the prose, the thing that got me to finish this book, you're probably thinking, okay, you said all that stuff about it, so like, Why didn't you DNF it? It's because the prose was really beautifully written. Like, I can tell this author is a very skilled author, and that's what got me through, because there was just moments where her language just hit you in a particular way. And just like, there's this one quote that's like, I did. I put a little flag in here, and it's, "Let the grief bloom. Do you know what I mean? So we won't only have more grief." And as somebody who has experienced losing my dad, I just felt like the idea of thinking about letting grief fully blossom, so that it can go through its full cycle, was just such a lovely way of putting it. And so, yeah, there was just moments of that, but unfortunately, like, it was a lot. It was just dragged on, and those moments of prose were a little too buried, and then immediately kind of like spun into a bunch of other stuff. And the writing style and the voice is very strong, which I do love a strong choice from an author, but it means that if you don't click with that writing style, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. And I rated that one 2.5 stars. It was unfortunately the lowest of the books. Oh, we have things falling from the heavens. Okay, last book to talk about is They Bloom at Night, which is by Trang, Tran. Hopefully I said that right. And it is a YA horror. And I don't normally read horror, but the premise and the plot of this, in comparison to this book, the plot was plotting. You know what I mean? So basically we follow Noon, who is a young girl living on a boat with her mother in, basically, I can't remember if it's exactly like New Orleans, like it is New Orleans, or if it's just like close by, but living in the South in the aftermath of a basically like Katrina level hurricane that not only like decimated the communities there, but also brought about this red algae bloom that is now mutating the wildlife there in like really weird, sort of disturbing ways. And so they're all just trying to survive while having basically been abandoned by the rest of the country and the government, who said, "That's your problem. Good luck. Either leave or leave. We're not going to deal with you anymore." And there's this sort of mob boss-esque character who is how they have their boat, loaned the money basically to have their boat, and then basically says, "Hey, I'm going to like repossess your boat unless you figure out and capture the creature that is disappearing people in the town." I would say it's less scary because I don't do scary. It's less scary than it is like disturbing scary. Like it is a lot of like body horror transformation sort of type things. I didn't think I would do that okay with it because I am very like, I can't do body horror, but I think because I was reading it, for some reason it was fine. For some reason I was okay. The plot and the mystery was just really interesting, and along the way, the themes it tries to address, and I say try because, well, I'll get to that, but basically it gets into family, especially talking about being the child of like an immigrant and that sort of specific type of relationship, and really zeroes in on the main character's relationship with her mom, and then also talking a lot about grief, also navigating like the mythology of this family and the stories that they've told each other about the water and what lives in the water, and then grief and trauma and like environmental and climate disaster and the inequity there because they were like abandoned, much like, you know, the South actually was abandoned with Katrina. So, you know, and then I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Also has a whole like plot line about like sexual assault. So that's why I say I'm like tries, because I think some of those themes it delivers on better than others, but it's just trying to do a lot. And I don't know if you can tell, this is not that big of a book. Not that big of a book, and it's YA. So I just felt like I'd be interested to see what this book would have been like if it was written, either had a little bit more room, like was a little bit longer, or what I really kind of wanted is I was curious to see what this book would be like if it was written as adult fiction. I just think that there was moments where I felt like it was maybe pulling punches in order to fit into the YA genre, and I just wanted it to just go for it, you know what I mean? Because the concept and the premise is so good, and yeah. That being said though, the sort of slower moments that were focused in on relationships, specifically Noon and Covey, which is kind of the romantic counterpart in this story, as well as Noon getting closer with friends amidst this sort of dystopian world for them. I thought those moments were so beautiful, like exploring those relationships. Speaking of friendships, yeah, so They Bloom at Night, and I did really enjoy it. I rated it 3.5 stars. Okay, so that's all of the books I've read so far with my book club. The one that I'm currently reading, to give you a little bit of a preview, is A Sweet Sting of Salt, which is a lesbian retelling of Scottish Selkie folklore. And oh boy, it's really good. This is the quickest that any of my book club books have pulled me in thus far. I sat down and in my first sitting of reading this book, read straight through 7 chapters. So it's like I started it like very recently and already a good chunk of the way in. So I'm excited to finish this one and be able to tell you all about it. And if you want to see the full list of everything we're reading this year, I will leave it in the description. If you want to join along in the discussion, I will definitely be talking more about these books when I finish them. And that's all I've got for you. I think if anything, the ones that I would recommend reading are The Membranes and Open Throat, both the novellas, because I think they're just so quick and snappy, and just like, why not read them? It's going to take you like not a lot of time at all, and especially Membranes is really going to stick with you. I just think they're a good time. And then of the like full novels, I would say, honestly, I want to say if you're just looking for like a fun summer read, Sound of the Morning is just a fun time. I know I can't recommend this one yet because I haven't finished it, but I just really am loving it. And also, if you start reading it now, we're like reading it at the same time. So, okay, that's it for today's video. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss when I upload. I upload every week. I'm making this face because I did miss last week, so. But I try to upload every week, and hopefully I'll have some more book content. Like I said, like I am a former bookseller. I've always loved books. So, and then I just like realized that I like wasn't talking about them as much as books take up a large portion of my actual life, but in my online spaces, I just wasn't talking about them as much as I feel like I could. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and let me know in the comments what you're reading or what your next read is. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful, exuberant, loud, fun, like community-filled, enriching Pride Month. We deserve it. That's damn straight. We deserve it. It's not damn straight, it's damn queer, and we deserve it. So yeah, happy Pride. Bye.